What's up, everyone? Bradley Jack Design here, and apparently there's nothing on my computer screen, so we're gonna fix that so you guys can see what's going on. Took a little bit of time off, a little sick, so we're a little delayed on the Bradley Jack Design Discord critiques, but we are back. We're in full force. We have too many today. I'm basically just going through the rest that I had in there, and we're gonna talk about them, and it's gonna be a long video, so sit back, relax. Got some water here. Let me change my orientation settings just so this is on this monitor. I found that's better. Okay, let's get to it. So 40 today. Some of these are duplicates of some people, but who cares? All right, let me make sure I know who we're doing, what we got going on. All right, starting from the back, we've got JCPSD. Let me lower this music a little bit so I can actually hear what's going on. Let me lower the music. There. Okay, cool. All right, so JCPSD, we've got this Kyrie Irving design. Let me hit a couple buttons. That's better. All right, so we got this Kyrie Irving design. We've got a hierarchy going on. We've got some size contrast. We've got some size contrast with big Irving, little Kyrie. This is good, like that. I like the faint texture we've got going on in the background. It's nice, it's there. You can tell it's there, but it's not overbearing. Logo in the corner is pretty good. But when I look at this, it's like I like this coming down and sort of grounding things, and things are branching sort of off of it. But everything's a little balanced over here. This does help balance it out a little bit. But like also there's like this weird glow here. What's going on with that? I'm not crazy about like the effects you have on here. I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to, play with some lighting in the hair here. Play with the lighting here, and I think you did a decent job here. I just don't like this inner glow bevel stuff you've got going on. It's just not my cup of tea. I also don't know why it's pink / purple, because it's the Nets, and everything the Nets do is black and white. I think the editing's pretty decent on the player though. This is really bright, I feel, for the lighting though. It's not too bad up here. I think it's a little heavy-handed up here. Could be a little bit more detailed with the lighting on there. But I don't think you need this purple stuff, to be honest. I think if you just had a signature here, simple's better. I think it'd be a little bit more successful. We've got this by Culture. I think there's a couple in here of cultures, so we'll go through these pretty quickly. So I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at here, to be honest. So we've got this is a super dark photo of Zion, bright background, everything's bright, and then you've got super dark photos of the three players. There's no real hierarchy for them. You've got big Zion here, but then you've got these two guys over here, and then you've got tiny guy in the back here. I have no idea what this is in the front. I guess it's a trumpet because it's New Orleans, which makes sense, but you can't even tell what this is. So you're looking at this and you're like, what's going on? Same thing with this stuff in the background. I think, is this just a wavy texture thing you did there? And then what is this? What is that on the ground? I just don't know where I'm supposed to look. You've got No, and then you've got LA down here for NOLA. I would probably have those be a little bit closer together to form its own square. Because right now, when it comes to proximity, this says No LA. So No Los Angeles instead of NOLA. And then you just sort of have this random gradient of their colors in the top left. I just don't understand where I'm supposed to look. So think about setting up a hierarchy. What is your intent behind this? What story do you want to tell? How can you set up balance out the design, the composition. I'm just trying to think of like design theory things. You know, you have some size contrast here, but it's super dark. You can't even tell what it is. And I think you tried to put a crown on his head, which doesn't look all that accurate. So just try and make something basic using design theory of balance, contrast, pattern. There's other ones I talked about in a previous video, but I think that might help out in the future. OD designs. Got a John Morant graphic here. Always good. So let's see what we've got going on here. So this right away has a hierarchy. I want to look here, then here, then here. And that's where your eye goes. It goes in this sort of triangle circle here. I feel like they're a little squeezed in. You might have been able to space them out a little bit. But I do like how you have the name here and jaw here as well. Now this one on the side is a little hard to read, but you've got John normal here. People who are probably watching this know who this is, but maybe you do something so you can read Morant better. I'm just noticing you did like this sort of jaggedy paper thing here, which is fine. Just looking to see that. You've got, you know, Memphis Grizzlies, I think is fun to play with these as sort of just textural elements. It's just black so you guys can see it. You know, you've got 4 circles here and just like dotted squares, which like, you know, they're fine. It's like using X's for no reason, just for texture. Like you've got circles, have them mean something, you know? Like this would make sense if this was like a playoff graphic or something and they just won a game. You know, you could then put in there filled circle, 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 or something like that. Have the circles or have these little things you throw in the background as little extra elements. Have them have meaning. You know, if it's 12, have 12 of them because his number's 12 or something like that. I feel like this is out of place, this 12. I feel like you don't need it because it's like, it's the same size here pretty much. It's not demanding any attention. It's just going to like hide him over here in the corner. So I don't think you need that. I think these loops work a little bit better because they're more indicative of what you would find on a court. And I think you've got this stuff going on pretty well in the background. Like these blocks of color I think are good. And you can read that this is FedEx form. I think that's nice. But just, you know, if you're going to add little extra tertiary marks, have them have meaning. And then I guess if you're going to do this like jagged stuff, you know, might as well, I guess, do it on the front guy maybe. I don't know. I think your shadows are a little tall. Like I think they're a little fat. You know, I think they would be a little bit more short. They wouldn't take up so much like an oval. They would be more of a more straight a line over. But that's just some initial thoughts on that. Moving on, because we have a bunch. We've got Life of a Zero. We've got Demarcus Lawrence. I know that because it says Demarcus Lawrence up there. So that's good. Tagged a whole bunch of people on it. So that's fun. Pretty simple design. You know, it's balanced out well. Got a star going on. You've got a little bit of like this glow in here, which I'm not like crazy about because it just softens the corners up. I probably would have just kept it straight, but that's me sort of nitpicking. I feel like he's a little dark here. You know, overall he's a little dark, just in coloring. You know, we want to be able to, you know, his skin looks black. We want to be able to see the pigment of skin. And down here you've like blurred out where his feet are. I would have probably put like a black and white overlay on top of this and made it a little bit more defined so we could see it, because it looks like he's standing on like some sort of blurry floor for no reason. You know, maybe I would have, you've got this tall, you know, composition with a little bit of stuff going on here. Maybe add a little bit of something to the sides just to maybe fill up a little bit of this space, so you have this sort of like plus cross going for the composition instead of just up and down. Because really what I'm trying to say is like right now you're just kind of like looking here, like this is where the focus goes, and you're like, okay, we've got a triangle back here and everything is boxed in by everything, but then you're done looking at it. You know, keep them interested with something, I don't know, and I don't know the answer either. what would that be there? Or could we ghost some texture on this background or something like that? But, I mean, pretty clean graphic. I think you just went a little heavy-handed with the editing here. Maybe have a little bit more size contrast. Maybe he's just a little bit smaller down here so then you can see more of this jersey, but pretty solid design. We've got Hexy graphics with this Josh Giddey graphic. And I like this when he posted it in Discord. Just thought it was weird. It was different. You've got just like this random circle of orange, which is counterbalancing the blue over here, which is kind of a cool subject. You split his face up, and I think you do it pretty decently. I'm not an expert on color and like lighting, because you didn't really light it. You just sort of have this different like photo filter over it. Like if I put a filter over a camera and the left side or the right side was orange and the left side was blue. I think it's cool. Just depends on what you want to reiterate, which you have on here. Youngest player in the NBA history to record a triple-double. So that's cool. Maybe have, the stats of what he did underneath it. The 3 stats with some stuff just to add a little bit more stuff. This is really pulling my eye, which I think is a problem with this texture yellow on top. Just because there's so much contrast on it, my eye gravitates. Hey, look at this thing right here. And I'm not looking at, what's going on here. So figure out where you want to look. I do like the texture. I just think I would have masked this out or moved it so this was off screen somewhere so we didn't see it. But I think you did a good job of like coloring his skin in. Pretty simple to do. I would have probably done something a little bit more unique with the background. You've got sort of a generic hex stock file that I've seen a million times, which might work if this was a Hornets graphic because they use hexagons all the time. But I think just take away some of this front texture you've got going on here. I think it'll help it a little bit better. And maybe if this shape had a little bit more meaning behind it or sentiment, because I want it to be like a straight line. But maybe it's this part of the OKC, so it, I don't know, comes like this. He's got OKC. Here's the OKC logo, and then only this part is red or something, or orange. I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool looking graphic. We have a DE heart emoji, I'll say. Got a Devonta Smith graphic going on here. So right off the bat, you've got there's a lot of stuff going on with this texture you've got going on. I don't know where I'm supposed to look. Nothing stands out. And it's because you've got sort of the same gradient map on everything, and then you've got a different gradient map, or you've got a specific coloring effect on the skin to make it, super orange. And that initially I'm kind of like, I'm not sold on it being so red. I think if it was more neutral, more skin tone, I think it would work a little bit better. You can kind of, take away this big grain you've got going on, because you can kind of read that this is Devonta. You can get that. But then, Smith is half covered up by his head, and then it's half tiny little lines that command the same space as this grid stuff, and then Smith back here, so it's kind of hard to read. You do have a hierarchy here, which is good. I think you set up a pretty decent hierarchy, but then you just murdered it with all this texture you have in the background and all this stuff that you can't see the hierarchy. And you've got this logo down here, which, okay, why? Theoretically, if this was for like the Eagles, they would say, don't blur the logo. We don't want that. Maybe if this was more abstract and not the actual logo, maybe it was just the black part of the logo, or just the white part or something. I don't know. I feel like it's not. I don't know why you put this there. It seems to me that you just put this there to have the Eagles logo on there. I think this would have been a lot more successful if you just simplified a lot of the textures on it overall. All right, GWizard22. You got this Zegras. That's what it says. Zegras. Trevor Zegras. It says his name at the top too. So this is a cool little manipulation. Let's see here. So a couple things, context is important. What is this rock? Why is there a giant rock here? I'm assuming you have this rock here because you have to cover something up, which that might be the case. But if you're going to do that, put some more rocks in front so it makes more sense. Because right now it's just he's on, you know, theoretical ice, but it kind of looks more like water over here. So he's just kind of like floating, and then there's a rock for some reason. So let's take a look at this lighting. I think you did a good job here. You know, these are good, successful areas for the lighting. I think it's a little intense right here, or bleeds on a little too much, especially on his hair. Like, I think this would be a little bit darker. You know, I just don't think it would bleed on as much. I like what you're trying to do here. And if you're going to have these fireworks be on here, like, these are kind of faded, but these aren't. Like, these, I don't think these would be faded. So mask those back in. You know, it depends on what photo fireworks you're finding. From a standpoint of lighting, so like, it's hard to figure out, you know, where the reflections would be, you know, based on the camera. If you're looking at a camera, you know, how far down would these actually highlight? You know, because I feel like the top of this wouldn't be so far down here, but you'd have to figure it out. I feel like it's, if I would have done this, I would have stretched it out like this, and you stretched it out to the side here, but you didn't do it over here, it looks like. You kind of did it, but really stretch those out. But it's going to be more at an angle like this because it's going up in the air. So I think you might have the angle wrong on the fireworks. And I would have put like an icy texture down across this whole thing. And then you could apply a displacement map to this flipped upside down. And then I think it would reflect a little bit better. All in all, I like what you did with the lighting. And I think you darkened him up well. And you've got some of these corners decent, but I think they're a teeny bit too bright. Just a little bit. And I think you added just a little bit too much in the hair. I think this isn't too bad. You know, and this is pretty successful. So keep trying, keep playing around with that. I already know who this is because it's Spider-Man. We've got Bradley Seaton Designs. He made Spider-Man red, which is great. If you've seen these videos before, I keep telling him stop making Spider-Man pink. So we got a red Spider-Man. You know, he's got the No Way Home text on here. Name at the bottom. So like, looking at this, I'm looking at mainly what's coming out to me is quality of image. Like, this is a nice crispy image, but this image back here, it's not as crisp, just not as high quality. And then like, these sparks are supposed to be, you know, they're sparks, but they don't look sharp. You know, they look a little dull or a little soft. Like, the texture's good in the background, it frames things in. The only other thing really is like, you've got this Spider-Man in the front, but then you've got him off to the side with a little bit, which is fine, but then all the balance comes over here where Doctor Strange is. So I don't know, maybe have something over here. That's why I think when you see movie posters, you see a lot of symmetry coming from the middle, or something that's asymmetrical on purpose. Whereas this, you set up the symmetry from the center, but then it's off to the side. So, you know, based on No Way Home, you know, I don't know, maybe you have like Ned and MJ over here or something like that, and then it balances off a little bit. Texture up here, you know, is fine. This sort of vignetting around the edge, I probably would have done like a dark vignette. Let's see, you've got the spikes here, not spikes, sparks here. So you've got a little bit of lighting on the sparks here, but it looks like it's up here as well. Or like, if this is the original photo, put a light source up here, because it's like, hey, there's a big obvious light source coming up from here that's making the side of his face glow. If you made his eyes glow, I think that you did a good job of doing that. Just a couple things, you know, compositionally that I would tweak. All right, Zen Graphics. We have this Devin Booker graphic. He was chit-chatting about this. You know, I'm not crazy about this guy. I would try and just Photoshop this guy out, because I don't think he adds anything to the piece. I think he's just a little bit distracting, and I don't know what's going on. The floor looks okay. I feel like it would have tilted a little bit more. Like, you know, I think it needs to be more of a you know, flat. This is a rectangle. You know, it's hard to describe. I think you need to force the perspective a little bit more. You know, you've got fire in the front, which is good. It doesn't cover up too much of him, which is fine. I think this looks pretty good. You know, the ball, I'd get rid of the glowing eyes. You know, pick, what do you want to glow? Pick a couple things to glow. Everything doesn't need to be glowing. You've got the background, which is fine. Like, so for me, if I were going to do a piece like this, and I did a piece sort of like this, but not really, of Jimmy Butler, you know, if you're going to put like him on lava, don't put him in a stadium. Like, put him out like on lava. Put a volcano in the background or something. Or if he's on the surface of the sun, you know, make this the surface of the sun and make this space or something. But just try to make it I try to make it like a realistic scenario. Like the colors all blend in together. You know, there's a couple areas where it looks like you just kind of tossed in the stock image and didn't do much with it. I mean, he's lit pretty well. Everything's lit together pretty well, I should say. It looks like it all belongs to each other. So I think you did a good job of that. I think just picking and choosing what you want this, you know, scenario to be. I don't know. There's the like I've put glowing eyes on things and then gotten rid of it, and they look like 10 times better sometimes. So I don't know. Maybe that, I think it might look better if you got rid of that. But I don't know. Keep going. Oh, what we got? MKS Designs, Club Regatas de Flamingos. Okay, something to do with soccer that I have nothing to know about. All right, what do I see initially? You've got a hierarchy set up of these three guys and then the team below. I would have accentuated that. I would have made these guys much bigger to contrast these guys here. Because then you would have, you'd fill up a little bit more of this space, which is fine. But then, you know, you'd just set up a better hierarchy. And then these guys on the side would make more sense how they are. I don't know how large these trophies are, but make sure they're scaled appropriately. You know, because like this looks like it should be smaller than this, but they look like they're the same size. I have no idea. These are just things I'm thinking. Shadow down here, not good. You know, it's just a black blob. You know, use maybe the shadow from the original image. I've got a tutorial on that, of cutting out a player and using the shadow. You know, just duplicate the same photo, add a gradient map on top of it, and just mask in that part, and then set it to multiply. Same thing with these, you know, the shadows, they're just black lines essentially. So play around with that. Logo's pixelated, you know, try and find an SVG or a vector logo so it's not pixelated. This guy looks really pink, you know, normal skin tone, pink. Like, I don't think this guy's pink, especially because his hair looks pink, so I don't know what's going on with that. But even if that's the original photo, it'd be something I would try and fix. You've got like this edge blur going on here for some reason. I don't really know why. And like, just from a standpoint, it doesn't look like this club is centered. This is a 5100. Yeah, it's not centered. It should be like right here. It should be like here. So, you know, center it up if you're going to have it centered. And then, you know, the text just looks like you threw it on there. You know, play around, try something else with the text, because you just spelled it out essentially, you know, and just kind of tossed it on there. You know, you've got this straight up and down, and then this is italic, just because, you know, keep playing, try and explore different ways to add contrast with text. All right, we got TH Graphics, Kevin Durant. This looks sort of similar to a different Kevin Durant graphic, but it could just be hierarchy. No, it's just a different Nets graphic. I think it's pretty good, really. The coloring I'm not sold on, but you're using old Brooklyn Nets stuff. But I feel like this would still be a little bit more red. I could be wrong. I feel like I just want it to be a little bit more red and not so muted or salmon. I think I might like it a little bit better that way. But you've got a hierarchy going on. Big, middle, small, good. Shadows look pretty decent. You've got a lot of texture going, not texture, you got a lot of contrast here. Kevin Durant, slanty text is always fun. Very small text you can't even read, so that's good. Number 7. You know, then you've got Brooklyn, New York over here, which does balance off from all the stuff on the side. So I like that you put that there. Then you got Brooklyn Nets up here at the top. You know, maybe make it the same white. Maybe make it the same red. It doesn't really matter. I'm just maybe do that instead. I think the lighting's pretty solid. I don't really have many notes for this. I think it's pretty good of a graphic overall. Let me see if I can nitpick. We're gonna nitpick. I think KD's skin in the front's a little too red compared to up here. This is more of a, you know, darker brown. This is more of a vibrant red, so maybe fix that. And then I don't know why you cut it off right here. Like, you've got Easy Money Sniper, which is good because that's his handle, but like I would have blurred this in on his arm and not have it cut off so much, because I can't tell why you did that. That's really the only thing I would say I would change with this. And then maybe change the location of this so it just gives a little bit more padding. And you have this like Nets like pattern down here. I think that's nice because you can't even see it, but it's like one of those things you notice after the fact. I think this is a patch, so that's fun. Patches are always good to do. I guess the only other thing then would be is the perspective of this background photo. I don't think matches the size of how KD is. So maybe just lower this or make this KD bigger just so it matches a little bit better. But you know, it's not that big of a deal. Pretty good graphic. All right, Jake McAnally. I'm gonna spell his name wrong. I'm gonna say his name wrong a bunch. All right, so we got Matty Ice, aka Matt Corral. What do we see here? The old let's make his arm ice with snow. I think you have a good job on the snow overlays. This is cool. I think that actually looks pretty decent. Shadow down here, not crazy about. Shadow here, pretty decent. This one, I don't think there would be a shadow over here. You know, it would just be underneath. Like, this is okay. It's just the left side. Let's see here. When I zoom in, like, you see this yellow on his pants? Like, get rid of that. Because everything's icy. So you shouldn't really have anything that's warm. Skin's good, you know, whatever. The photo's okay you found. So here's what I would do. If you're going to make his arm ice, map this texture several times and make it so you don't have it overlap any of these darks. Maybe set a blend if on it so it doesn't affect the darks completely. Because you can see it goes right across his hand and it's not part of his hand. You know, if you cover up the blacks a little bit, you can sell it a little bit more that it's actually part of his hand. And that his hand is made up of different textures of ice. I think you might have a tiny little bit of a fringe. You know, maybe a little bit. Like, there's just like random spots on here where there's like blue and orange. I don't know why. I would try and get rid of that. I think the breath looks cool. I think you did a decent job of that. Maybe have it disperse a little bit sooner. The snow overlay looks good. I think you have him well grounded here. Like, this I think looks really nice. You have his shadow there. I think you just have a little bit over there that's a little odd. The only other thing then is this background here just seems like there's too much of a noticeable edge that's blurred, but I would just blur it more so you really can't discern where the horizon line is. But I do like the vignette you have over it, and I think this is a nice little highlight here, and the light source up here I think is pretty solid. So I think it's a pretty good graphic overall. All right, we got Vince King with a who? Mac Jones. All right, we got a Mac Jones graphic here. All right, first things first. You got a good start to a hierarchy, in my opinion. But like this Mac Jones photo is screaming to be like this big. It's just screaming to be just a little bit over to the left, maybe a little bit bigger. And then you'd have this nice little zigzag going down. Because I just don't think there's enough size difference between these two guys. You've got a good enough size difference here, good enough here, not good enough there. Because there's just like empty space here. So like move it over a little bit maybe. Stars are decent. You know, when working with reds and blues, you're going to get these purples. So try and knock those out. I think if you add a hue and saturation layer on top of this and just kill the magenta, that'll blend in a little bit. That'll get rid of a lot of the pink. I think that might help out. Let's see here. The photos look decent. They look like they all match. He's got a big old scar in his arm, and that's fun. I'm just trying to figure out. So like you've got this big red bar, but it's not in the center because it's closer to the edge here than it is here. Make it dead center. I don't know why you have this triangle over here. It doesn't make sense to me compositionally. And you've got its last name, but like just throw his middle name on. Throw his middle name. Throw his first name on here somewhere so we know that it's Mac Jones. Most people are going to know it's Mac Jones, but if someone doesn't watch football, they're not going to know who this is. And then, like, what is this background? What is this stadium? Is this Gillette Stadium? Or is this Yale? Like, there's a Yale symbol. So, like, make sure if you're using a photo of a background that it's going to match somewhere he would play. Because, like, this doesn't look like this to me right here. It doesn't look like a football field. Maybe it's an end zone. Like, there's, like, yellow. I don't know. So, like, that's the thing, too, is if you're going to put him in a place somewhere, make sure it makes sense, is what I would say. Other than that, I mean, I like how you're using stars. Maybe you could have put a couple more down here. Maybe get rid of this and put some stars down here so you got a bunch of stars to fit the Patriot motif. Well, that is what I would fix. All right, we got this quick culture graphic again. Posted this to Reddit and got completely hosed. So, like, it's really pastel colored, which I get why people would not like it. You have these palm trees on here that are just kind of like blurred and they don't make sense depth-wise. Because, if I put a palm tree on there and try to make it blurry and have depth, I would do it. But I would also have all the players be the same size. But you've got Big Curry, and then you've got Curry again. And then you've got these other guys, going on. You've got random square in the background. I think this is a nice little a nice little tag for the logo. But use brand colors. I don't know why it's purple. This tree, this looks like a tree fell on the ground because it's on the ground. Maybe erase some of their foot or put some sand in their front of their feet so it looks like they're actually standing on the sand. None of these like you've got Draymond Green here, but then you've got Steph Curry next to him just like shooting. It just doesn't, to me, it just doesn't make sense. And I just now realized this is a Larry O'Brien trophy and not the sun. So if you're gonna put it on there, put it on there with reason. And I don't know why you have this square in the background. Because you're covering up these guys. You can't even see them. So that's just a quick couple things I would say about that. DE less than 3. We already did one of yours. I'll just give you some quick ideas on this. 2 red. This is fun to play with. Tighten this up a little bit, though. You can drive a truck through this. Choo-choo. I think I have that. Is that right here? It's just too much space between it. Tighten it up and it fits a little bit better. This background logo looks blurry and I don't know why this is blurry. Why is it there? What are these things? Okay, this is a surfboard, I get that, but I have no idea what these other textural elements are. And you're covering up this 22, but it's also, it's like a stock photo we've seen a million times that people have been using. That trend of numbering. So I mean, I like what we've got going on here. If this was toned down a bit, maybe better. And then I would have moved this face over here, so then these can complement. So his head here is like here. You just have better hierarchy, not covering up his face. It's something I try to tell people to stay away from. All right, we got CT design. Jaylen Brown. I know we talked about this in the Discord. So I'll tell you what I think here. Kind of intense lighting all around. It's pretty decent around the legs here. I think it might be just a little intense there, maybe a little intense here, but everywhere else it's solid. What I would have liked to see is balance. So like you've got Jaylen Brown balanced. You've got Shamrock here. You've got random Shamrock over here. You only have 2. Like, why only 2 Shamrocks? You'll put another one over here so it balances out, or you've got like the number of 3. And then put 50 dead center. You know, it's close over here. And it could be because you have points, but points doesn't demand as much space. But then up and down, you know, it's slightly closer to the top. Just put it dead center. And then make Jaylen Brown, the subject on top, fit to that. And then, yeah, we were trying to figure out where to put points. You know, maybe we put it black in here where it says points. Or you just have it say 50, and then the context is in the post. You know, that's also an option as well. But I think you did a decent job on the lighting, playing around. Like, these are cool little, like, vapory things coming off. Maybe this one's a little too intense where it's yellow, but, like, this one looks nice. So, and then maybe just a little bit more of a shine on this ball of color from the background, maybe. Oops. I don't know. Pretty decent. This is Emilio, Underdog Visuals. I already talked to him about this one a bit. Main concern, all the stuff on the side is detracting from this nice hierarchy here. So I advised already, get rid of all this crap around the sides. We don't need it. You know, I'm not crazy about this South Beach logo. I'd probably get rid of this. And then dumb down this displacement or whatever you have on this circle. I don't think you need it. Because if you get rid of that, I think you've got a pretty solid piece where you've got this hierarchy of these guys. You know, maybe make a couple of, I mean, I like the size of these guys, so I think that's fine. I wouldn't actually change it. Then you got the surfboards that are kind of putting them in to the side. You know, the shadows are a little weird. Like, the shadows just a little weird on this one. I would have added in a little bit more grass down here because it just looks like they're standing on like coffee grounds. You know, put a little bit more of that grass back in. I think it would help a little bit more. But the composition's pretty solid with the palm trees. I don't think that's bad. You got to get rid of Brian Flores. He got fired. So other than that, I just noticed the coral down here. It's like a fun little effect. Probably wouldn't have covered it here. I think it looks okay right here. It's a little bit funky. Maybe you take these coral elements and just put them in the front, so they cover up the front instead of behind them. That's probably what I would do. Robert Quinn, great design by MK.Designs on IG. New franchise single season record, beating out Richard Dent's graphic. All right, so what do we got going on here? Oh, 18 sacks. So I get what you're doing here, but it doesn't read 18 well. Just make it say 18. Just tighten it up. I think that will help it out. This down here is illegible. I would make it a slightly bigger, just slightly bigger. Like, I like the small text, but make it slightly bigger. This is hard to read, just because you've got this ghosted bear in the background, which I think is fine. Just make this more legible. Maybe have the line be like a drop shadow to the actual text. And then same thing, just like the B and the E on Robert Quinn, it's a little hard to read. You know, you can put it right here maybe. I don't know. Let's see here. Like, his shadow looks, you know, not too great, I would say, down here. Just because, like, you have the grass orange. I don't know, I think it's just a little plain. Just like, oh, here's the shadow. Here you go. Let's blur it. That sort of thing. Same over here. But you do sort of set up a hierarchy of this is the main hierarchy. You got little guys, little stuff down here, little stuff up here. Maybe soften this down here because it's commanding a lot of attention. If you had it on the top here, it might help a little bit better, just so it frames everything in. Those are just a couple little things I would say. All right, let's go. We got a Jaxon Smith-Njigba graphic by Designs by Sam. I made one of these, which is super fun. He's making this real dumb face in a photo, which I found, which I thought was funny. All right, so you did something that I've seen a couple other designers do, where you took the same photo, you've got it in here a couple times just to fill up some space, which is fun, which I don't mind. Because really what you have is you've got the Ohio State logo. You've got just like a collage of images on the inside with roses. Then you've got him in the front. And then you've got his name and stats down here. I don't like the stats at the bottom. Just because they're all just like, they're huddled up. You know, spread them out a little bit more maybe. Just because you have all this stuff here huddled up. And then you've got just, oh, by the way, this is what he did. It's just really small at the bottom, and it's, you know, it's not centered because, well, it is centered. It's centered with this, but the issue is if you center with that, 15 catches is wider than 3 touchdowns. So you got to move something around. You got to compromise somewhere to make it fit. You can read his name, which is good. You know, like, I would have gotten rid of this stuff on the edge. You know, maybe put Rose Bowl champ down here or something like that. You know, get rid of JSN 1 of 1 and get rid of Zone 6. I understand that's an Ohio State thing. I don't think you need it. I don't think this text adds to anything. I think this is pretty solid by itself. And then his name here. You know, on mine, I stacked the stats so they fit better. Maybe you have his name here, the stats here. I don't know. I think it's a cool graphic, though. And I'm an Ohio State fan. I got, you know, undisputed 2014 champions, so I like the graphic too from the start. All right, we got Lab Laz here with this Happy Casa Brindisi. Brindisi, Happy Casa. Okay, so that's a thing. NBEB. You got here Brindisi. You've got a map going on. I would have made this map black and white just to get rid of the color. Personally, I probably would have not. So you've got his shoes here, but it looks like he's standing in just really shallow water. I probably would have just, like, you know, just put him in. Just put him socks deep. Put him in the water, you know. I do like how you have it all framed in with this texture, this paper texture. I think that's not too bad. You've got some random lines here of colors, which I guess are okay. I do like what you're trying to do here with depth. You've got this building here, which is in front of this, which is in front of the logo, which is in front of this photo. You've got just, you know, some text here just because. But for me, as an outside viewer of having no idea what this is, what sport this is, who this is, give me more context. Like, who is this? I have no idea who this is. You could tell me. You could educate me now on knowing who this is. And you've got the name up here, but it, you know, I have to kind of circle around to figure out what it is, but I can read it on the jersey, so I guess that's fine. I personally would have photoshopped this boat out just because it pulls a lot of energy or a lot of attention. But I do like sort of the collage depth thing you have going on here. All right, JCPSD. Got a LeBron James. He's got a crown on with a big old fake highlight on here. Got some stuff hanging in the backgrounds. Are these level? I would have made these level. I would have had them. Wow. They are level. Just doesn't look level. It's weird. Like this, I could have sworn that's. Yeah, it looks slightly higher. I don't know. It might be an optical illusion. You got these all blurred the same, and they're all pretty lit the same, which I think is nice. You know, these don't fit in as well as these. I think just based on lighting. You know, I think if you're gonna put these on there, shine them up a bit on the sides from where that lighting's coming from. Great photo, LeBron. I think it's a cool photo. I think you put his chain on there is kind of nice. I think you did that pretty nicely. But I hate this. Like this looks like a cartoon. Like you've got realistic stuff going on, and then like this just looks like a cartoon to me. Like it just doesn't look like there's any substance to his cape. It's like I think that just hurts it. You know, I think if you just had the crown on him and maybe just the chain, I think it would probably look pretty decent. I think the cape ruins it, to be honest. The sparks in front, I think, are fine. And everything looks like it blends together. I think his lips are just, I think these are a little too bright. And then when I zoom in, I can see a lot of this sort of JPEG artifacting. It's probably just from the original photo. But if you're going to do that, artifact the other stuff. So like this is nice and clean and high resolution, and this photo is not. Match them. Blur the crown so it matches this. You know, that's something I probably would have done. But I do like this chain. I think you put it on there. I think it looks cool. Cool little goat chain. So, we got Brennan, Kyle Seager. Stuff that he has going on for the Seattle Mariners. Not crazy about the yellow. You know, when I think Seahawks, Mariners, I don't think of that yellow. I think of their, you know, their teal blue they use. But you'd have to make it so you can read it. Personally, I think it's stretched a little too much in his name. You're kind of losing the legibility of his name with that. I would have liked to see more contrast with these. You know, personally, I would have not had so much spacing between the letters. The way I would have done this is just personal preferences. I would have had like 2-4-2 and then home runs small, or home runs underneath, or, you know, home runs small next to it, you know, behind it, something like that. Something where the number is big and the stat is small, because you want to see the number first. And then same thing over here on the right. And then I don't know how I would have lined it up. Like, you lined it up from the outside, but like then you get like all this sort of frick-a-frack of like, this is this big edge here, and it's not like these line up at all, and it's because of the plus sign. I probably would have hung the plus sign off here so these all fit a little bit better. But if you would have made these smaller, you could have had these all be the same size and then have equal spacing, or have spacing so then these are all on an equal plane and they all have equal, they're separate from the name. I think it might have been a little bit better, because you could have been like stat, 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 and then, you know, tiny little thing, tiny little thing, tiny little thing. Just play around with size contrast and weight contrast when you're working with text. The photo of Kyle's okay. I personally would have gotten rid of this, the reflection of the dirt on his leg. I would have just sampled a different color from his jersey and just sort of painted over that so it blends in a little bit better. I can use a little bit of fringe on the bat, tighten that up. Yeah, you know, the text is not terribly readable because it's yellow. You know, I see you added a little bit of texture of these guys in it, but then you've got his photo. You can see the line right here where it goes. You know, mask that out so you don't see where that line is. You know, mask it out to somewhere in there. Those are just a couple tips that I would have done on this. All right, we're keeping on going. Piazza SVQ. We've got this LeBron James graphic going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, you know, we've got him on the throne, got his little crown, got some lens flares going on here with lights from the side, lots going on. Which I don't think this is all pretty deep. Like, I don't hate any of this. Like, it fits what you're trying to do. I just think there's a lot of stuff up here that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I honestly would have just made this a black background. Like, I would have just made this black. Because then it would have contrasted with the light you've got going on here and all the light in the front. And then you frame it all in. And then it focuses everything on the inside. I think it's just distracting this like sideways photo you have going on. I like that you're trying to put a sideways photo on there. I think it's a good idea. And then I would have gotten rid of this glass texture. Just personally. I think like the Miami stuff, or not the Miami, like this, you know, I don't know, this building in the background's fine. And, you know, that's fine. It's cool having his name upside down. You know, you've got it paired off with this for balance. I think that's good. I probably would have made all of this a little bit smaller, just so you don't cover up his chin. But that's just like me and personal preferences. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Let's keep cranking these out. All right, Universe Graphics. Poirier and McGregor. You've got McGregor going off here. Poirier frozen on the ground or something like that. I think this looks pretty cool. It looks a little bit more flat up here, because like down here you can see where the different edges are, which is nice. Not crazy about the huge white highlight you've got on the front here. I think these vertical lines are nice. I think you've got these guys in this octagon pretty well. The text isn't terrible in the back. Like, I'm trying to think spacing wise. Their names I think are fine. You know, do we want to do something different with this? The 2 down here is nice. So you've got that going on. I'm not crazy about like this bevel and emboss you've got going on here. I'm not crazy. Like, I'm not crazy about the effects you have on the guys in the middle. I think they work better on the outside. Just because they look a little default. I don't know. Like, they're blurry and choppy. Like, they're kind of hard to see, so it's kind of hard to tell what it is. Like, you can tell this is kind of money flying up. But then, like, he's glowing. You know, like, I don't know, like algae or something. And then you've got... It looks like you just put a bevel and emboss on it. Which is kind of distracting. But, you know, it's balanced out well. You know, the octagons, you know, you've got good composition going on here. Those are just a couple of things that stick out to me. All right, Toast _1207. PG-13 graphic here. So you got a little hierarchy going on here. I would have tightened up the text up here a little bit. You know, you could drive a train through here, like we've said before. Choo choo. Let's pull up Voodoo. And I see what you're doing. You're kind of doing the blue and red motif, which kind of fits with the Clippers. But when you do that, it's like this could be like a cop poster, you know. You know, you cut them off down here. It looks like there should be more to this graphic because you've got huge PG-13 up here, and it's just basically, you know, it's PG-13. This poster's rated PG-13. I guess what it kind of reminds me of a movie as well, I guess. I don't know. Like you've got a little bit of a hierarchy relationship going on here, but then there's nothing else going on with contrast because this all pulls the same amount of attention because it's just this glossed on red, this glossed on blue. I think if you had this lit a little bit more delicately and had this maintain the same color as normal, I think it would be a little bit more successful. But then the eye just shoots back up to this PG-13. So I just don't know where I'm supposed to look, really. That's the main takeaway. And there's a, you know, I can see a little bit of fringe around the clipping here, and, you know, tighten that up a little bit. All right, Bennett's got an AJ Brown graphic going on here. Initial thought, pretty solid. Like I said before, you know, using the same image as sort of texture in the background. I've seen people do it, which is fine. You've got a big black line here, which I feel like is intentional. Like, I don't see it up here. Like, if I zoom in a little bit, his ear looks a little bit choppy. You know, it's a little choppy on the top of his head there. You know, clearly these are different quality photos. I think the text is great. I think the brown is nice. He's got like a displacement map on it or something that looks good. I think the contrast of the red sort of glowing stars is nice with the white background and the jersey. You got a hierarchy. You got random text down here, which is fun. I'm not sold on his name on the AJ part here. And it might be because the A is upside down. You know, it's like that. I don't know if that's like the font, or I guess it's spelled like that. It just looks like the A is upside down. So I'm not crazy about that. It's really the only thing. Then I probably would have matched the padding here on all sides. So it's slightly smaller here. You know, just move this up a little bit and move it down a little bit. But it's kind of like a book. You know, a book has bigger margins at the top and bottom. I mean, I like it overall, though. All right, we got designed by Jake. Took my advice, did something different with this sort of style he was doing. Still has this sort of square in the background, but he's got this jaggedy Jamar. I think he's got an asterisk in his name. Who cares? It's fine. I don't care. Chase, number 1. I think that's nice. I think it's a cool graphic. I think the only thing I really would have done was just move this helmet over a little bit to be like here, so it wasn't covered up so much, just hierarchy wise. You might have to use then like a puppet warp to adjust his elbow so it doesn't go completely off the page. Some of the texture, you know, when I see your stuff, you've got, I think you have the, I don't know, it just looks like you have an iris blur on this. I probably would have gotten rid of it and just made it all like nice and crispy all around. But I like that you made it so it wasn't, everything was the same texture you usually do. So that's pretty solid. All right, we've got cast graphics here with this LeBron piece. I mean, you got a lot going on here. You know, what am I supposed to look at and why? You know, why are things the way they are? Like, you've got this chain that's like blurred up in the front. Why? I don't know. It looks like you've got sort of a choppy looking logo that's not a vector. You've got his signature that's kind of blurred out. You've got his eyes like highlighted for some reason. I don't know why. It's interesting. I just don't know why you do that. You've got like this fake looking court then, and then he's on it, but then you've got him glitched out. Like, why do you have him so glitched out? Like, I don't understand why everything has a glitch on it. You know? Like, I don't know where I'm supposed to look. You start to set up a hierarchy of 1, 2, 3. And then you have LeBron going through the back of it in like a default Fortnite font. But then you don't have any like secondary act, you know, like if this was like a play or something, you don't have any secondary characters or anything to support the hierarchy, because then you just add a bunch of stuff to the side to fill in white space. You know, white space is fine. And then I would have just tried to make this look a little bit more realistic at the bottom. And you've got like kind of a harsh fade here where he comes off. And then you've got like the same thing here, just a harsh fade where LeBron is being cut off. So, you know, things to think about in the future. Gilbo, we've got this Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't know how to say Shai's last name. Gilgeous-Alexander. I really liked this when you posted this. I only had like one note on it, really. And basically, from a balance perspective, I'm screaming to have like Alex's head here. Just move him over, so he's like right here. And then maybe you can put something right there to fill in the spot. Like, I think you did a really good job editing the photo. I think this background photo is nice and dope. It's a great photo. You've got just nice random texture going on in the background using the logo. You've got tiny bit of texture up here, a little hint of color, which is nice. You know, you've blurred his name out here and have it going up the sides. And it frames everything in. So, like, I really don't have anything to say to this graphic. I think it's pretty solid. I would just want to see what it looks like if you just move him over just like a little bit. Just like move him over. So it's, because you kind of have, because if I draw a line straight down the center and we look over here, there's nothing. And we look over here, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So basically just move them over a little bit so it's a little bit more even. That's really all I would say. Other than that, I really like this graphic. Or we've got Carr with this Jalen Waddle graphic. You know, we got some stats down here of something he did. I think the stats are a little plain. You know, it's just like, hey, here's Helvetica with his font. You know, size contrast. Make some of them bigger, smaller, depending on what you want to do. I do like the layering you've got going on here of Waddle, then his name, and the ocean, and then the sun, and then the sky. I think that's pretty nice. Waddle gets a little hard to read. You know, from afar, looking at small, I can read that it's Waddle. But maybe not. Maybe don't have his name there. Maybe just have his name, you know, more up here or something to match whatever you would do down here. You know, I don't know. You know, I like that you kind of have a dolphin over here that's kind of jumping out. I don't know how realistic it is, but it's fun to have. Maybe if you have one, you know, maybe put a couple in the background or something jumping around. I don't know. I don't like the shadows you have going on here. You've got these like random ass, really harsh shadows, but like nothing's lit that way. Like the sun, like the scene, there's no sun. Okay, so this is like the sun setting, theoretically, but like you got a bright day, you know. But if you put this at a sunset, it would make more sense with the sky, and then you would have had to light him to match that as well. You know, I would just get rid of all these shadows down here. I think it would be more successful. So yeah, just play around with some of the text, get rid of the shadows. Maybe move his name down a little bit so it just right at the sand line. I think that would help a little bit more. So it's cut off in the sand. And then, I don't know, add a couple more dolphins or something. All right, let's keep going. This is Dorian's. Colby Covington Chaos. You know, me being a guy who hates things that I hate. Drop shadows on signatures I hate, but don't do it. I'm not crazy about these fonts in all caps. I think the main issue is you can drive a truck through this. Let's hit the button again. It's a fun button to hit. Like, tighten that up. Tighten up Chaos and then just make it bigger. I think that'll help. Because you can read this a lot easier of his name. I like the background texture. I like the star. I think the gradient map on him himself makes him just look really crispy. He's fried chicken, you know. It's just a lot of dots. A lot of dots of texture and grit. You can barely tell. You can't see what it, you know. You just can't see the photo as well as you should be able to. It's just too gritty. I think it looks fine here. I think it'd be cool. It's just like if you did it on the flag to make the flag just like a textural element, but kept him normal. I think I might like it a little bit better. And then if you're gonna put the logo, or not the logo, if you're gonna put the signature on here, put it somewhere that makes sense to me. Because to me, it seems like you just kind of like tossed his Chaos, tossed his name on there, and then you're like, let's put his signature here for no reason. You know, you could put Chaos, Colby Covington, and then his signature down here. Then it all fits together. And then just leave this as white space. Because you can then show this texture you have in the background that looks kind of nice. That's probably what I would have. That's what I would advise. Keiko PSD, Devin Booker. Got some nice contrast going on here with the text. It's pretty decent. I might have made everything a little bit bigger so you can read the points and stuff a little bit better. Maybe. I like what you're doing. I like this background. You know, using their pixels. I think that's nice. I would get rid of this logo. I would get rid of that personally. And, you know, I'm a sucker for this at the bottom, but I don't know if it fits this. I'm going to say it's fine. It's better than the logo up top, I can tell you that. You're like kind of cutting off his foot, but kind of a little bit completely. Commit. You know, is that where a photo ends and you don't have his foot? You know, just... I would have liked him to be standing on like an actual floor or something like that. See, like this is fine. Like he's completely cut off here and completely cut off here, but this guy's not cut off at all. You know, we need to be grounded somewhere. And I think in general, there's like, I don't know, there's something about the way you edit these. He looks a little soft. Like he looks like, you know, sort of normal here, but there's some areas that just look soft to me. You know, I don't know why. The hierarchy's nice though, so that's good. You've got big, little, littlest. Those are just a couple things I would tweak. You know, give him some padding. You make his head stop here. Have him stand there. I like to have padding for everything. It's a personal thing, but him going off the edge over here, I think is good. I think it works for this. All right, we got RJ graphics. We have this LeBron James graphic, Rachel J graphics here. All right, so you've got this like CRT monitor thing going on. It's a little distracting. I don't know if it really works. Just because I feel like I would like it better if it didn't have all this texture going on over everything. I think it's okay if you did it on just the name LeBron back here. But also when you read this, you see James first. So you read James and then LeBron. So if you're going to do this, I would make this say LeBron and then this say James in the background. Just because that's how I think you're going to read it first. Don't cover up his face. You know, you're covering up his face. That's just like the thing I nitpick. So, you know, move his face over here a little bit, move him over here, maybe. Then you can put some sort of Lakers logo right there or something like that. I think the background is okay with the trees. But then you have, you know, again, I'm just not crazy about this look right here of everything is glitchy. Because you're just like, I don't know, you're just covering everything up. And then I can't see what you actually did. And then the shadows seem just a little basic to me. Sort of a thing. All right, let's keep rolling because we've got a lot of these. I have no idea how many more are left, but it's been an hour. All right, Rhamondre Stevenson, New England Patriots. This is SB3 edits. I like how you've got, this sort of framed in photo of him. I don't like how it's like blurry on the sides. He's like fading in. I don't like the texture or like this bevel you have on the text, and the drop shadow just seems like you threw a couple like default things on it. But you've got good contrast with Rhamondre and Stevenson. I like how you have the logo on top of his name here. I think that's good, adding a little bit of depth. You kind of just like randomly have New England Patriots down here, and you kind of randomly have his number down here. I might want to see you get rid of this and like, who is he juking? Put like, if there's a player here in this photo, keep him in here so you show that he's being athletic. And I feel like he's a little too blurry in some of these areas, just a bit. I don't know. I like how you have everything framed in. I think just don't blur him in so much. Maybe a little bit of contrast in some of these lines you have. Maybe some are thicker or thinner than the others. You can probably get rid of this Patriots logo because you have it right here. You don't need it there twice. But yeah, keep playing with things. Let me see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we have 6 left. Okay, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown of that trash team up in Detroit. Go Bears. I like how you have his name down here. I think that's nice. I think it fits well with what you're doing here and sort of the effect that you've got going on here. I think I would have liked if you put his name like contrasting somewhere that said St. Brown, like right here or something like that. I think this is a nice little thing you've got going on with his signature. I don't know why there are pyramids. I don't know, unless he's Egyptian, then like, okay. But they don't seem to make any sense to me. I would have gotten rid of both these guys actually, just kept forward field and background and just have this be a nice basic side profile piece that you have in here. And I feel like maybe it's a little too gritty how you have it cut out. Just a little too crunchy. That could be just something you overlaid on top of everything else. But I think you did like this sort of backlighting pretty decently, I think, around him. This is kind of, it's lit pretty nicely for this big gradient map you have on top of it. I think you just added like random things in the background then that I don't think are needed. I think you could have made it so there's equal padding on both sides, moved him up, made him just the centerpiece, forward field in the background, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think it would have been, I would have liked it a little bit better. Also, if it wasn't the Lions, because, screw the Lions. Go Bears. All right, we got TH Graphics. Want some feedback on this DeMar DeRozan graphic. Let's see here. Go Bulls, first off. I've said this before for a couple other people. Size contrast, a little hard to read here. Maybe 35, 10, 5 points, assists, rebounds, something like that, encased. Just make things bigger than each other. You do have color contrast, which is well, but it is a little hard to read still. So maybe put a little bit of spacing between it. So it's, rebounds instead of rebounds, something like that. It's also just like here, like you sort of try to set up this hierarchy. I think there's too much space between these two guys. So maybe bring these guys over a little bit more. So like if DeMar's head was here, he would be like this, and then this guy would be right here. And then you can move all this over and have him be dead center. So then you have this sort of thing going on. Like I think this is fine. Maybe put a little bit of more space in between this. I think this is fine. You got, DeMar and DeRozan back here. Actually gave him a mustache. That's fun. I think that's fine in the background. Sort of blocks are fine. I probably would have just gotten rid of this photo in the background, to be honest. I don't think it brings anything to the table. And then Yeah, just like tightening up the hierarchy, you know, just move this guys over, move it into the center, and then figure out a better place to put this so it's highlighted more. Like you do have it framed nicely, like under his arm, but from the whole composition, it doesn't make much sense. Maybe this comes off here or something, comes off his butt, you know, it has his name or something, or it comes off here, has the text. I don't know, you'd have to play around with it. And then I don't know, maybe this is a little too intense on the red on his face there. But I mean, I like it either way. All right, LM edits honoring Kevin Durant's late Aunt Pearl. So you've got some like actual text going on. I'm assuming from like an article, which is kind of fun. You know, from a text standpoint, you know, have it aligned. What I would do is, what you want to do with text like that is align it all the same, so it's all coming from the same side, and then hang that quote off the side. So then it looks like this, essentially. Just from a typographical standpoint, that's something you should probably do. Look at this. You got a nice, beautiful blurred logo at the top that I think fits well. You know, I don't know. I just don't like the coloring of this ball, and I think the editing of him is a little funky. There's just like not a lot of contrast. You know, I like the pearls, and I like how he's sitting down, and like I think this is all nice. I think the pearls could have had a little bit more shadows on the ball, and I wish you could have found a better photo of this Nike swoosh, but that's not really on you. That's on Nike. I like you've got it framed in nice with elements from the shoe, which is kind of nice. Like conceptually, I like the graphic. There's just a couple of things that I would tweak, and I've already named them all. So it's mainly like the typography. I think Katie's editing looks a little weird. I think you have some of the highlights and shadows done. I think it's a little heavy-handed in certain spots, but it's not far off. Like, maybe Katie's just too orange. Maybe that's what I'm trying to think of. And then, like, I don't know. Like, where does this fit in with how you want the flow of the graphic to be? Because I feel like this is taking up space. Because you have this framed in, this framed in. You've got this quote, and then you have this random box with the shoes in it, you know? Could you have done something else? But I think you have composition. I think it's pretty nice. All right, Nick J Creative. I don't know. I think it's pretty nice. Pretty good Jayson Tatum graphic. You know, I'll say, you know, I've said this before. Maybe don't cover up his chin. It's not really too bad though. It's just the bottom of his chin, so who cares? You got a bunch of stuff going on in the background. It's hard to tell what it is, but I guess it's water. You've got his name all jibber jabber wonky, which is nice. And I like the color overlays you have on top. I feel like I probably would have just maybe moved him over a little bit. Maybe had Jason here. You blur him out really quickly here. And it could be because of the photo, which might be fine then if that's the case. You don't really have anything else to say. I think it's pretty nice. All right, we have Mushy/P/Jamar Chase apparently. Like the composition of this is good, but like this is just like the grainiest photo in the world. Like it's just all of the pixels, all of the grain. It's just too crunchy. I can't, like, it's hard to focus on it because it's so crunchy. I think the size relation between these two things is nice. I just think it's super crunchy. I'm assuming this is part of the building or something to do with Carolina. You got some birds up here, which might be in the original image. If not, they're kind of okay. But like, I would have blended in this back image so he's actually standing on maybe an actual ground, because you just have like this default ground going on here. And I know you made this like 3 weeks ago because I'm a little late on these, but just a couple things. All right, and last and least, we have this Micah Parsons graphic by Garrett Little. I really don't have anything to say about this. I mean, Garrett puts out good work. You know, you can see down here, he's got color contrast, size contrast. He did something weird with the Parsons here on the O. I don't know why you did it on the O. Like, that would be my question. You only did it on the O because then it kind of looks like an X, you know. But he's got things lining up. LB lines up with the S, kind of, and Micah lines up with the P. He's got to look at this nice shadow he's got here. He's got everything framed in with this like oval going on, and then that allows him to put logos down here. It says D-Roy. You know, do you want defensive rookie of the year with a T? You know, who knows? But you can see what he did is he has his name, so you can read that it's Micah Parsons. Then you can know this says Micah, and this assumes says Parsons, and this says 2021. Would it be 2021 or 2022? That's another question too. But he like cut up the text, which is fun, and just kind of like stacked it on. But he's got size contrast. He has some of it plain in between. You know, he's got text on top and behind. He's got a little bit of shadow on some of this. You know, he's got it plain in between, adding depth to the piece. I don't have anything to say about this. Garrett told me to roast him, but like, it's a good graphic. I don't really have anything to say. Maybe you have too much grain on it. You know, I don't know. You can barely see, you know, AT&T Stadium in the background. If that's AT&T Stadium, maybe make that a little bit more apparent. But like, who cares? I mean, good graphic overall. And then we should be back at the beginning. So, that is it. Thank you guys. I'm going to reopen these submissions because I'm feeling better, so we can get those going. Hopefully you stuck around for this hour and 15-minute long video. But if not, I will see you guys at the next critique. I'll see you guys at the next video we're going to do. Usually every Tuesday at 7 p.m. I got a couple basketball games to go to, but follow me on Twitter, and I will let you know when we're doing the next critique. If you want to join into the Discord, the link is in the bio or the description below, and I will see you guys next time.